Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Ridgecrest City Council. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order with roll call.
Mayor Braun.
Here.
Mr. Blades.
Present.
Keep playing. It'll get there. Mr. Rajaratnam.
Present.
Mr. Heyman.
Present.
Mr. Gorman.
Present.
And we have 5 present. We have a quorum.
Next item on our agenda is the approval of our agenda for this evening. Does anybody have any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion for approval of the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and second.
Please vote. We have our clickers tonight. Yay. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, first item this evening is we will be going into closed session. We have 2 items for closed session this night. The first is conference with legal counsel for anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code 54-956.9. We have 2 cases under that conference, and then we have conference with legal counsel, existing litigation code section 54956.9 for Finley versus Ridgecrest et al., Kern County Superior Court, case BCV 22-100048. We'll be adjourning into closed session and returning to regular session at 6 p.m. We'll see you then. Ladies and gentlemen, our apologies for the brief delay. We'll go ahead and return to our regular session this evening. At the beginning of our regular session, we have our Pledge of Allegiance. I'm pleased this evening to introduce Scouting America Troop 760G. Huh? Oh, sorry. I'll start that over again. Good evening, everyone. We start our meeting with our Pledge of Allegiance. This evening, I have the honor of introducing Scouting America Troop 760G, who's going to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. This is the first girls' troop formed in the city of Ridgecrest under Scouting America, once again recognizing the changes of our society and the opportunities that girls want to explore the outdoors, just like the boys, and we're excited to have them in our community. If I can ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Put your right hand over your heart. Scout salute. 3, 2, 1, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2.
And Councilman Rajaratnam, if you'd lead us to the invocation, please.
Please join me in prayer if you would. Lord, thank you for giving us this day. Lord, thank you for giving us this opportunity to serve on this city council. Lord, as we discuss and make decisions which are beneficial to this community, Lord, guide us and lead us in our meeting. Lord, I pray for our country. Lord, bless this country. Let this country be a beacon of hope for many other countries. Lord, pray for our troops who are in harm's way. Protect them from all evil. In Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, ladies, for being here, and I hope you enjoy this evening and seeing how your local government runs. Next item on our agenda this evening is the attorney report out of closed session.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, council members. Council took up 3 items in closed session, 2 pending litigations and an existing litigation on Finley versus Ridgecrest. No reportable actions were taken by the council in closed session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, if I could ask my fellow council members to join me at the podium, we have a presentation for our local law enforcement. Well, good evening, everyone. I said I don't know why I'm doing the proclamation when the 4 gentlemen behind me all look so much better than me in their shirt, coats, and ties. So, but I'll be the bum up here today. I want to go ahead and before I start this, start with a message regarding the elections and thank the community for what appears to be the passage of Measure V, which will ensure the protection funding for our police department, which is so important for this community. Thank you to our RPD officers. I know it has been a rough month, and this community has had several events over the last few weeks that have been difficult. It's you who are protecting our lives, our families, and our property on the front lines, and I thank you for your service. Let me go ahead and begin with our proclamation, which is a proclamation of the City of Ridgecrest, California, honoring Law Enforcement Records and Support Personnel Appreciation Week, November 11th to the 15th, 2024. Whereas the Ridgecrest Police Department and all law enforcement agencies throughout the state depend upon law enforcement, records, and support personnel to provide them with vital services. And whereas the Ridgecrest Police Department Records Bureau and support personnel are crucial to helping law enforcement agencies identify, pursue, capture, and process suspected lawbreakers. And whereas these professionals continually use their expertise and experience to assist in tracking felons, maintaining criminal statistics, and improving apprehension strategies. And whereas the Ridgecrest Police Department Records Bureau staff entered thousands of documents into the records management system, processed multiple subpoenas as court liaisons, and provided live scan service to hundreds of citizens. And whereas it's important to recognize California's law enforcement records and support personnel for their valuable contributions to our law enforcement system. And whereas the State Executive Board of the California Law Enforcement Association of Record Supervisors has proclaimed November 11th to the 15th, 2024, Law Enforcement Records and Support Personnel Appreciation Week. Now therefore, I, Eric Bruin, Mayor of the City of Ridgecrest, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim November 11th through November 15th as Law Enforcement Records and Support Personnel Appreciation Week in the City of Ridgecrest, and extend our gratitude to the Ridgecrest Police Department's Records Bureau staff and support personnel for their dedicated service to our community, their diligence, and their commitment to keeping our city and our citizens safe. Proclaim this 6th day of November, 2024. Thank you very much for your service. Do I have somebody who can come up and receive the proclamation? Are they all coming? Is our whole team there? Yep. Come on. If the whole records team is, I'm not going to let you sit there. Come on. This is two of you? Okay.
Yeah. We've got 2 in training and 1 today.
2 in training, 1 off. Oh, you want to speak?
No, absolutely. I'm good, sir. Thank you.
I tried to get that one in. Thank you, guys. Would you like to speak?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Give it to Elena.
So I have proclamation, right? If we can ask you both to come on up for a photo, we'd appreciate it. And if I can ask everyone for a round of applause for our Records Bureau staff.
Will be your background and screensaver.
I like that. Great. Thank you, guys. Thank you for everything. Thanks for everything.
Which way are we going?
Thank you, guys. Once again, could I ask for a round of applause for our Records Bureau staff and for all they do for our community? Thank you again for everything. Next on our agenda this evening is public comment of items not on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the council on matters that are within the council's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Council will not respond to any public comments, but may provide direction to staff to collect information. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the City Council may not act on any item that does not appear on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes, and the public comment section of the agenda is limited to 1 hour. Each speaker is asked to provide his or her name. Do I have any public comments from the floor? Please stand up. Come right up to the podium and adjust the microphone down so we can hear you clearly.
Hi. Hi, my name's Eleanor Hummaker. I was wondering when the penny pool will be open?
Good, Dan.
That's always the great question from the kids, and I appreciate it. So I'm happy to say that we've already completed the demolition of Penny Pool, and that we hope to be beginning the bidding process here by December, and then hopefully we can then go from bidding process to construction in early spring of next year. We hope to have you swimming by the summer of 2026.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comments? I was sure there was going to be more tonight. Is there any public comments on the phone? I'm getting the flash, there's none. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public comment section. Next item on our agenda is our council announcements and direction. Do I have any council announcements, Mr. Gorman?
No,
Mr. Heyman?
none here.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Nothing.
I'm just going to go ahead and say one. I'm going to thank the Ridgecrest Area Convention and Visitors Bureau for the incredible powwow that we had last weekend. As you may have noticed, the powwow has changed. It's not just the Petroglyph Festival, but now it is truly more of a powwow festival celebrating all of the different tribes that made up this region. I want to thank them for all the efforts they put in to ensure the cultural and historical aspects of what the powwow was, and thank them for their efforts to bring this event to our community. They brought it to Ridgecrest the first weekend of November for the last several years, and they've certainly done a lot to develop it. For my scouts, it's a great opportunity if you're ever working on the Indian Lore Merit Badge. That's a great Saturday to spend working on it, but also to get exposure to many different cultures and many different tribal aspects. So thank you to them for their work. And then I also wanted to put a big shout out and thanks to our Parks and Recreation Department for an incredible trunk or treat on October 28th. If you are not, October 26th, sorry. I was off on the date, so it was the 26th if I'm correct. If you did not happen to be at the trunk or treat, I think there was probably a good 5,000 people here. It was one of the largest ones we've had yet. The line took until 7:15 for the line to stop surrounding the building. And I want to thank all of the community organizations that came out and were participants and part of making that happen. You know, there's an old saying that, you know, it takes a village to raise a child, and sometimes it is very true within a community that when we come together and we do things like that, we can do so much more together than we ever do apart, and it was an incredible evening. Thank you to the Parks and Rec Department for their creativity, adding the Hogwarts theme this year, which was a lot of fun, and also all of the work that they did. And then passing on the same thanks to our city staff for the Booze on Balsam event, which was another one of our community events. All of these leading up to, just a final reminder that tree lighting is December the 7th. That is our next big one. And if you thought we did a great job last year, wait till you see what we got planned for you this year. We hope to see as many of our community out. And if we can double what we did last year, that would be incredible. We'd hope to see 10,000 people there. Okay. Next is our consent calendar. All items listed on consent are considered to be routine and non-controversial by city staff. Consent items may be approved by one motion, and if no member of the council or audience wishes to have a consent calendar item pulled, it can be removed from the consent calendar and considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to make comment. I will now read the 3 consent items for this evening. First is a proposed action to approve draft minutes of the Ridgecrest City Council regular meeting dated October 16, 2024. Second is authorization for the city manager, Ron Strand, to sign the notice of completion for the correction of deficiencies in the emergency sprinkler system in the Kermageek Community Center and Ridgecrest Police Department, for the city clerk to file the notice of completion, and for city staff to release retention in the amount of $1,653.30 to contractor RLH Protection, Inc. within 30 days after recordation of the notice of completion. And third is a resolution of the Ridgecrest City Council approving the addition of an accounts receivable specialist position to the classification plan. Does any member of the council wish to have an item pulled? Hearing none, does any member of the public wish to have an item pulled? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the council. Do I have a motion for approval of the consent calendar as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Fantastic. Next on our agenda is item number 4. Item number 4 is discussion or action and consideration of the temporary suspension of a business license for Heritage Inn and Super 8 hotels and setting a license revocation hearing for the 11/2024 City Council meeting. And I believe that our city attorney will be leading that discussion.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Honorable Mayor, council members, thank you. We brought this item before you because 2 of the hotels in town have been seriously behind in remitting the transient occupancy taxes. As you know, anytime a guest stays in a hotel in Ridgecrest, tax is collected that is property of the city and it's turned over to the city. It's supposed to be on a monthly basis. 2 of the hotels, which is the Super 8 and the Heritage, have either underpaid or not paid their taxes in a substantial amount. As you know, we do have a legal action pending to collect that money. We also have moved forward with the process, which initiates the revocation of the business license for the businesses who are operating in violation of our code or state laws. I had discussions with the attorney for the owners of both hotels, who happen to be the same owners. And based on those discussions, I would like to change the recommendation for today. I think that I am optimistic about a possibility of a settlement and a payment being received by the city. We would need a little bit of time to get that accomplished, sit down and negotiate first the amount and then the method of payment. I think I'm confident we can get that accomplished before the next council meeting. So I would like to propose and have council consider, rather than temporarily suspending the license today, if that was the wish of the council, to simply set a public hearing for revocation of the license for the next council meeting, which is November 20th at 6 p.m. If we are unsuccessful in reaching a resolution, the revocation hearing will move forward, and assuming that the council agrees with the recommendation to revoke the licenses would be revoked, and then the business would need to shut down. If we do reach a resolution in between, the item will be either not put on the agenda or removed from the agenda, depending on the timing if the agenda is already prepared. And the resolution would include the action that is currently pending in court. So it would be a global solution which would resolve both issues. With that, I'm open to any questions.
Okay, we'll open it up to council first for any council discussion or questions. Let's go ahead and start with Mr. Blades.
Oh, you saw me taking notes. No, that's okay.
I just chose right to left. I usually just do the right to left, and you seemed ready.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Thank you, Martin, for the report. I am inclined to stick with the staff report as it's presented, but I am open to hear a persuading argument from the rest of the council. I trust you and I trust our staff implicitly, but this is not something that I take lightly.
Okay, Mr. Rajaratnam?
No comments at this point.
Mr. Hammond?
So if we proceed as you have recommended, would we come back to the council with an overview of the payments and the schedules and what the outcomes will look like?
Yes. If a resolution is reached prior to the next meeting and prior to the hearing, we would discuss that with the council in closed session at that meeting, and assuming that an agreement from the council was received or some other direction was received that was acceptable to the other side, we would resolve it at that time. If not, then we would proceed with the revocation hearing.
Mr. Gorman?
I'm satisfied with the vector council set for this very serious matter.
So just to make sure that we're, thank you, Mr. Gorman. Just to make sure that we're clear, essentially, we are going to continue to set the revocation hearing for 11/20. And I'm going to guess that the Hoteliers Council and our council is going to attempt to reach this settlement within the next 2 weeks. Is that correct?
That is the
That is the
plan.
intent.
That is the task. Yeah.
Is that we don't end up putting a black mark on one of our local businesses through the suspension of a license. We allow for the couple weeks of time, and I believe that that is a good faith effort on our behalf, And I would certainly echo some of the sentiments of Mr. Blades that TOT is, and just for the public record, TOT is money paid by guests, correct? When they are checking out of the hotel, or, when they're settling their folio. And that money is then collected by the hotel and due to the city within a prescribed time frame by code.
30 days. Yeah.
And that we are at this stage because that prescribed action has not occurred.
That is correct.
Okay. So I think that, that's the important aspect that we see, is that we've put TOT in order to both help the city's finances, but also to support the efforts of the RACVB and the efforts of our community as a whole. And anytime that we don't have this being properly deposited, paid to the city in the appropriate time codes and in accordance with the code, this is creating a negative liability that's got to be solved for the city. And so I'm more than happy to provide that good faith opportunity for a couple weeks to settle against, I don't want to see any of our local businesses hurt, with the hope that we can come back here and have the same good faith returned in resolving this and ensuring that it won't occur in the future. It's kind of like, I look at how my 12-year-old child is, You tell them sometimes you did something wrong, and, you put them on timeout for a couple minutes, and then you pick them up. But not my 12-year-old, God, I messed up my 5-year-old. I'm comparing two wrong kids. But I think the key here is that we're more than happy to provide the good faith. Mr. Blades, do you feel that's at least encompassing some of your concerns, or?
No, my concerns remain, but I do, and I have to say this again for the public, just so you hear it, I trust our staff implicitly. They understand thoroughly the law. They've faced matters like this before, so when you make a recommendation, I am inclined to agree with you. I am out of sorts with setting a precedent like this for our community.
Okay. Again, we don't want to be in this situation with our local businesses. We hope that this can get resolved. Is there any public comment?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm Frank Weiser. I'm the attorney for
Okay.
the operator, CalPERS Solanke, for both motels and the owners of both the Super 8 and the Heritage. And I agree with Mr. Kazanowicz. We had some substantive discussions here before the council went into private session, and I think we can resolve it. We do want to be given a chance to do so. Obviously, we have a different take than the city does at this point, but I think the point is it's better for the city to try, and I think for the public and for my clients to try to resolve it. And I will be contacting, or Mr. Kazanowicz will be contacting me immediately, I assume, after either tomorrow or next week to try to get it done. I'm confident we can resolve it.
It'll be tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right, so I would ask the council to we not get into any substantive issues about, what the hearing, whether, because I had some due process objections to the temporary suspension anyway. We never got notice of the actual hearing. My client found out about it through the papers. And my view is that the temporary suspension was a deprivation, even a temporary one, under the Due Process Clause, 14th Amendment, required special notice. That being put aside, I don't think all those issues from a practical standpoint are a concern of the council now. I think what we should be working to is getting a proper and just resolution for everybody, including the public and my clients. So I would ask that Mr. Kazanowicz's suggestion be agreed to by the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, is there any public comment on the phones? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and bring it back to council. So if I understand correctly, Martin, this would be a motion to...
A motion to
set the revocation hearing?
And I would ask council on the record, would you waive notice?
Yes.
Thank you. A motion to set a revocation hearing for the business licenses of Super 8 and Heritage for November 20th at 6 PM or as soon thereafter as agenda allows.
Okay. Is there any other council discussion?
I have a question, Mayor. When we are talking about collecting the TOT, so we'll be collecting the RTDI fee also, right? 5.75? Okay, just wanted to make sure. And another question, have they been reporting occupancy to, who collects the occupancy numbers? You guys do that? RACVB does the occupancy numbers and all?
Well, there's a STAR report that is
So
generated.
that would be
Yeah.
sent. Okay.
But the reporting from the number of, or the amount of rooms rented comes from the operator to the city.
Okay.
Part of the issue we had was, it appeared that when there was funds that were paid, there was a significant underreporting that was discovered, which was part of the
Gotcha.
issue.
Thank you.
Are there any other council comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion from the council to set a revocation hearing for the Super 8 and Heritage Inn for November the 20th, 2024 at 6 PM or until agendized or until agendized, correct?
As soon as the agenda allows.
As soon as
after
agenda
6,
allows,
yes.
sorry, just making sure I got the terms correct. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and second.
Please vote. Five ayes, motion carries.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, sir. Next item is item number 5. Item number 5 is to approve a grant application to the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation, OLDCC, for federal funding to enhance the resilience of the Naval Air Weapons Station, Nas, China Lake, and surrounding Ridgecrest community. Mr. Strand.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council. What I have before you is a grant application that I'm asking for approval. This is a follow-on grant from a grant that was approved by council in 2021. And through that initial grant, there were some key vulnerabilities that were identified that would affect China Lake and the surrounding Ridgecrest community. This grant is for $886,663, and it does cover 4 main key focus areas. The first area is grant funding to update our general plan when it comes to land use compatibility, when it comes to the base and the sound study. We'll have a budget of about $95,000 for that. The second area of focus would be workforce housing needs assessment. That will be a follow-on after the general plan update. And what that will do is they'll allow us to have to hire a consultant to do an availability of suitable housing in Ridgecrest for Navy personnel. The next one is a study and full design plans for the Bowman Channel from Sunland and Bowman all the way out to the installation. That has a budget of $560,000. Now, the big issue on, right, actually the big benefit on that one is that will provide us a full set of design plans to be able to put that flood channel in, which is a significant improvement if we can put it in that area for flood control. Also, with having a full design plan will allow us to apply for any sort of FEMA grants and specifically a Defense Community Infrastructure Program grant due to the fact that it would have a significant benefit to the base. And the last one would be for a tabletop exercise involving the community. That would involve China Lake, the city of Ridgecrest, and all of our partners that we'd have, all the utility partners and county and everything. So that would provide for that EOC. We have not actually had a training exercise, I think, since about 2009, 2010. So this actually be good to be able to exercise our emergency operation plan, how it, applies throughout our community. Now, I know we've had
We've had an actual emergency.
We've had a couple of actual real emergencies, but this would give us an opportunity to test our emergency operation plan and see how we do. So it's just good benefit. The reality of this thing is that this really will have no fiscal impact to the city's budget. Our contribution on this is a little over $14,000, but that will be in kind or direct costs related to the grant management. So I would assume that that part of the grant will be covered fairly quickly by staff. So what I'm asking for tonight is for your approval to approve the grant application and allow the necessary budget adjustments that need to be made to move this grant forward. And with that, do you have any questions?
Thank you, sir. I'm going to start with the obvious one, which is by grant application, there certainly, is this one of those types of grant applications, as we've discovered, that if we put it in, we're highly likely to get it? Or is this one of those grant applications where we're putting it in and we're competing against several other communities?
If you approve it tonight, it's already approved.
Okay, that's great for the community to understand that essentially our approval of a $14,000 expenditure is a $872,000 return to the
Correct.
community. So that's, yeah. And then secondly, is as you started to explain, and I believe if I can just make sure that Mr. Reed confirms this, if I am correct, the Bowman Channel flood mitigation, I understand that this is the planning stage, but the implementation of it, when we get to that stage of it, that will actually have a significant impact on homeowners, potentially their flood costs in property tax, in their property, is that correct?
Correct.
So by accomplishing this stage to get the planning portion ready,
Right, this will give us a shovel-ready project.
a shovel-ready project that we can then take to the next opportunity and be potentially able to get some savings for our homeowners in that area where we are then mitigating our flood concerns into the future. Important to remember, especially for the young ladies here, last year's storm, if you didn't know, that was a 1,000-year storm. It was a 200-year storm. Sorry, not 1,000-year storm now. It's only a 200-year storm. So that day, when you had that much rain, it was 5.5 inches of rain in a 24-hour period. And when you have a city and all of the water, you have to have some way to get it out. And this is a way for us to make sure that we have pathways for the water to get out of the city, while still making sure that those people that have homes, they sometimes have to purchase insurance called flood insurance, which ensures that if their house were to be flooded, they have to have it. And they're required to have it by law if they're in a special zone, because they're either low to the ground or where water would accumulate. This will help take the water away, therefore helping to take away that expense from homeowners. So it's very good for our community, and it's a good step forward for potentially helping our citizens save some money on what their home ownership is. Just wanted to break it down to some simple terms since we have some guests here.
Since you're on the flood map, you want to talk about the fact that we have the federal government revising and looking at all of our flood maps right now.
Hey, Travis, if you're going to talk.
You're going to have to be on the mic. You don't get to get away with talking from the crowd if they can't.
So I think one other piece of beneficial information to this is in 2021, we got an earmark for FEMA to redo all the flood maps in the city. So the flood maps were basically projections back in 1986 based on a best guess back then of where they thought water would be going. In 2017, the city flew the city and got LiDAR data, so we have full topographic data of the whole city and some of the surrounding area. So they are now able to build an accurate model, which we will get from the federal government to be able to design this channel. So it's piggybacking on us trying to make our community more resilient, as this grant is for, and now come up with a solution to fix the areas where we know we have a problem. So.
I'm going to share, just out of humor, that when we walked out of closed session, I had a FedEx package waiting here. I had no idea what it was. I opened it, and it's from FEMA. And it says, the purpose of this letter is to notify the city of Ridgecrest that the Department of Homeland Security's Federal Emergency Management is in the process of validating a draft flood insurance rate map Okay, that is literally how our lives work, is these pieces are always working between our staff or within the council, and these are all pieces that are kind of, they take sometimes months and years to occur, but they're a process to accomplish. And there's an example where he's talking about the flood maps, and that's them notifying me that the flood maps are now in review. Just thinking about that, how it works. So with that, this is all good in all fronts for us. And I will go ahead and defer and ask Mr. Gorman, do you have are there any other council comments? And I'll begin with Mr. Gorman.
While he's gathering himself, I'll offer a comment. I've been looking forward to this and forthcoming things for a long time. This ultimately is a Byzantine piece of the process paperwork that would allow all that pesky rainwater every 200 years to find its way to Mirror Lake without going through anybody's living room. And that's wonderful. By the way, it'll happen probably about the time you'll all be Eagle Scouts, but hey, it'll be fun. The canal, which we've been calling the Walmart Canal, to I'm sure their annoyance, will need another name. Be thinking about a good, appropriate name for that canal when it's gloriously finished and impelled by gravity will lead all that rainwater to Mirror Lake. Hot dog. Think of a name for the canal. As a good name comes up, share it with us. It'll go on a list. Thank you.
Mr. Heyman.
I too am really glad to see this grant coming about. I remember sitting in on a couple of the meetings and with the Navy and the city and other important aspects of the community, whether it's power, fire, and particularly looking at the areas that we know we've had trouble with, whether it's the flooding or results of earthquakes and damages to infrastructure or important aspects of the infrastructure such as the power and communications particularly. And so the part about the tabletop exercise for resilience, I think that will play into firming up where any weaknesses and risks are and helping us in the future when we, if and when we have another major crisis that occurs, and looking at come backups and the power, the water, the very things that come to light when you have a major catastrophic event happen. So really pleased to see this come about, and I want to thank the city manager and the staff and everybody that was involved in putting this together in the Navy. So, thank you.
Mr. Rajaratnam. Mr. Blades. Nothing? Does any member of the public have any questions? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council. And if there are no further council comments, I would entertain a motion to approve a grant application to the Office of Local Defense, OLDCC. You will learn there are lots and lots of acronyms in life, ladies, over time, and you never understand what they all mean. OLDCC for federal funding to enhance the resilience of the Naval Air Weapons Station and NAS, China Lake, and the surrounding Ridgecrest community.
Move to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and second.
Please vote. Five ayes, motion carries.
Thank you, and that's another exciting piece to be moving forward. Next item, interestingly enough, in our conversation that we've already had this evening, is item number 6. Item number 6 is a resolution of the Ridgecrest City Council designating persons to execute documents to obtain financial assistance under PL 93-288 as amended by the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act of 1988 and/or state financial assistance under the California Disaster Assistance Act. Mr. Reed.
I'm back. This says for Hurricane Hillary, kind of to play off what we were just talking about. So this is to give authorized signers for the city to be able to sign official documents for reimbursement for the mitigation efforts, for the post-flood cleanup, for all the facilities we had to fix so we could receive our reimbursement. Based on my calculations from what we've done for all the projects that we've put in, we're probably looking at somewhere around 85% of what we spent. So it's been a lot of labor and a lot of time, but we are nearing the end and getting all the final documentation together so we can hopefully receive the money. So with that, I ask for you guys to approve the 3 signers written within your staff report and on the resolution to sign the official documents for FEMA.
Thank you, sir. Does any member of the council have a question or comment about this?
No, this seems rather routine.
This is about as
If
routine
it
as
wasn't
you
a
can-
resolution, I would want to know why it's not in the consent calendar.
Oh, yeah. That's a good question. Why was it? in the
Well, because
consent?
I understand it's a resolution, so you
Oh,
guys probably
'cause
have
it's a
to have it,
resolution.
right?
Oh,
I honestly couldn't speak to why it's not on consent or if it could be on consent. All I know is it was in discussion on every other city that I looked at, and the last time we did it, it was on discussion, so that's where I asked Rick to put it.
10-4. 10-4.
All right. Well,
You just decided to drag it out. We
Well,
got it.
yeah.
Travis needed to have his time at the desk. He's gotten it. We're all happy.
Travis does love his camera time.
He
doesn't
does like his camera time.
You look good, though. You look good.
But the key element here is that, again, this is to reimburse the expenses that the city took on during Hurricane Hillary. Again, I personally think one of the moments that we truly shined as a community in the last, in 2023, not just because of how we came back as a community to be organized and ready for it, but also some of the incredible actions that our city staff took and our citizens took, both in helping people get out of stuck situations as well as hoping to avoid situations. And I think it was one of those shining moments for us. So I have no other questions. Is there any questions from any members of the public? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to council. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution designating persons to execute documents to obtain financial assistance under PL 93-288 as amended?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion second.
Please vote. That was cute. 5 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is our committee reports. We have several committees that operate within the city. The first is our City Organization and Services Committee that meets on the first Thursday each month at 5:30 PM for each of these meetings. The public is welcome and encouraged to attend. It is the best way to get information to us. We had an incredible quality of life meeting yesterday, talking about a bunch of stuff, and you know, we'll get that when we get to it, but I mean, these are your opportunity to interact with the council and with the planning commission, to get heard and to get an opportunity to have these type of conversations, so we'd always encourage you. City Org is the first Thursday of each month, and the next meeting would be tomorrow. Unfortunately, we have canceled that meeting, so we'll hope to see you in December. Next is Economic Development, which did not meet, and Finance, which will be meeting next Tuesday on the 12th. And that brings us to Infrastructure from October.
Yes. That is an old agenda that I have in front of me. But I do know that we talked about traffic study. And I think the overall committee decision was to push the traffic study until we saw different conditions pop up in the area. The committee there wasn't a lot going on. You have anything else, Solomon? Okay.
Again, the Infrastructure Committee talks about our roads, ways. Just recently, somebody came to me about, you know, how do we work with this intersection, or how do we make changes?
Yeah, if I'll expand, especially since all you girls are here, and I think this is important. So I brushed across it rather quickly, and I shouldn't have done that. The Infrastructure Committee, they meet over anything and everything to do with how the city is put together, the roads, you name it, intersections, lights. And the public will come and meet with us at least once a month, and they'll talk to us about either complaints, issues. We rarely get compliments, but they're always welcome. And the reason these meetings are so important is it's a one-on-one time with 2 council members, planning commission, and you also have the public works director is sitting there. So if you have a real problem in your neighborhood and you want it addressed quickly, I would say a very smart way to do that is to come to a committee meeting, and you will get an answer in short order and in real time. It also allows, if there's something bigger, like I just discussed, a traffic study, that traffic study, we may have, we had the public works director go off and do some research. He advised us that it wasn't warranted at the time, but it could be warranted in the future. But there are times when we have to give direction for the public works director or staff to go off and do these things, which will cost money. Sometimes they're bigger projects. Those bigger projects then get kicked up here to the council. And each committee has those actions to perform.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next committee is the Parks, Recreation, and Quality of Life Committee. We met yesterday. That group meets the first Tuesday of each month. And again, that's a great meeting if you're interested in how our parks are, what facilities we're working on, things of that nature. Mr. Gorman, would you mind if I went ahead and tackled some of the things from yesterday?
Oh, you always do it much better and quicker than me.
Okay. So I will hold for the opportunity for the local press to be able to share the comments from the meeting, but we had a very good quality of life meeting, and we addressed several of the questions related to the recent decision by this council last week for the resurfacing of the tennis courts to make the corrective remedies for the pickleball situation. And it's been asked on social media and things of that nature, but we didn't think it was the appropriate timing for that conversation until post-election to give you some explanation as to what the safety issues were. So the safety issues as relates to the pickleball is the distance between where the back of the court was and where we put benches in. And the way we designed the courts, we designed them for capacity rather than for function. And we made a mistake, and that's a very honest answer. It says, we made a mistake, we understood that we made it, and as opposed to kicking it down the curb or avoiding it, we faced the problem immediately in order to save our citizens money and also to solve the problem with a solution. And solving the problem with the solution is understanding that we have to repaint these lines on the court, and you can't just scrape them off. You can't just, get out there with your Windex and your razor blade and scrape it off the courts. It doesn't work that way. But what we can do is put a second surface over the top of them in order to make them go away. And by putting that second surface over the top of the courts, we actually add years of longevity to the courts. So we actually take a soured situation. If you've ever heard the terms making lemonade out of lemons, what we did is we took a soured situation, something that we all are, we regret that we got into that situation, that we made some mistakes in how we designed it. But the fact is that now we took that opportunity, and as opposed to kicking it down the can and costing us more, we put a solution in place to solve it now and to actually improve the longevity of the courts for the community. My answer to the community, and I wish they'd been there yesterday to join us in the discussion, we had a very thorough discussion for probably a good 20 minutes, is we recognize that we have a fiscal responsibility, but we have a larger responsibility that when we're making multi-million-dollar investments into the infrastructure of this community, that we do it right. That we not just do it cheap, and that we not just do it the easiest way, but we do it the right way. And I think that that's the testament. I apologize, I was not able to be here last week to share these words. I had a business obligation, but that we did a lot, and I wish you had been there for that quality of life meeting. I know it'll be covered, but we just want to make sure on the record, for anybody out there watching or listening, the safety issue had specifically to do with where the benches were. And if you were let's just say, 65-year-old senior and joined pickleball, and you went back to hit the ball, it was very easy that you could have tripped or fallen over yourself, and we didn't want to see that for anybody, whether it be a youth or a senior. But we definitely want to make sure that the courts are at their best for our community. The second thing I want to address is to the youth of our community. We recently installed a bathroom at Leroy Jackson Sports Complex over by the softball fields. We want to make your experience at our fields the best as possible. The unfortunate thing is that we are suffering some extraordinary incidents of vandalism at it. And that vandalism includes putting rocks in the toilet. It includes climbing on the roofs of the building. It includes an attempted break-in into the snack bar. It includes spray painting inside the bathrooms. It includes many different things that I believe that you, especially the young ladies here, are an example of the youth of our community that can pass on that those types of behaviors are not the things that we want to see out of our community. And they only hurt to take away those opportunities for us to have better and nicer things in the future. So I would encourage the parents and youth of this community, please understand that we do not have an unlimited budget for these things. It takes us years sometimes to get these projects. That bathroom project started back in 2021 when I first joined this council. And it took us all the way until that point to get it completed. Now today, when we're done with it, we have the problem that we're seeing the vandalism. Please do your best as a community, everyone, to protect and to maintain those facilities. They are important to us, and they're not just going to show up again. And the more that they're depleted and trashed, the harder it is for you guys to have the type of facilities you need for your sports teams and for us to bring in people for this community. So those were the two big things we covered. We obviously covered the tree lighting and trunk or treat and those events, but those were largely reports. And then the only other thing I wanted to let everyone know is we applied for a CDBG grant back in 2021 for, to put a shade structure by our skate park. It was brought to us that one of the problems that we had with the skate park is that people were sitting on the obstacles, and we know that shade is a solution. But one of the things that we're also concerned with, especially now when we see our youth using tables and chairs to climb on top of the roofs of things, my apologies, but we definitely want to take a moment and have a conversation about what should be under that roof, that shade structure, whether it should just be concrete, maybe concrete seating, or should it be nothing? Should it be just a shade structure? And we'll be having that conversation at one of our quality of life meetings in the future. And we certainly would encourage and hope that anybody who's interested in the skate park will look for that announcement and join us. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
See, I would still be in the middle of a funny anecdote leading up to the committee report, and he's got it over with. Though vandalism has gravitated up into the top 10 problems I associate with having to get solved in our community. That's all.
Okay. And then last is our RACVB. I don't think we have a report. They'll be meeting later this month, correct? Or do you have something?
Since I'm not primary, I did not attend, but.
I think, wasn't the meeting canceled?
Kerry Christian.
Yeah, the meeting
is
was
there.
canceled.
Can
It
you?
was canceled?
Yeah,
Say
the meeting was
something
canceled.
about RACVB?
The meeting was canceled, the next meeting is November 20th.
I mean, in general, what RACVB does for the benefit of these girls, can you?
You're getting called to the floor. Carrie's going, I love this.
She'll never show up to another meeting again.
Yeah, you can.
Hello. I'm Carrie Crutcher, Executive Director of the Ridgecrest Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Shall I talk this way?
Sure.
That works out.
So that is a mouthful. The main thing that the acronym is, Mr. Mayor spoke of all of the acronyms we deal with. RACVB, you've heard it a few times tonight. We exist in Ridgecrest. We work closely with the city, but we are a separate organization from the city. And we work with our local hotels and other organizations throughout the city in bringing visitors to Ridgecrest. So we also do advertising that will bring people to Ridgecrest. We host events that will bring people to Ridgecrest. We have billboards out on the highway. If you see any Ridgecrest billboards, those came from us. And the reason it's important to bring visitors to Ridgecrest is when you go on vacation with your family, you stay in a hotel, which costs money. You eat in a restaurant, which costs money. You forgot your flip-flops or your jacket, so you have to run to Walmart, which costs money. And so all of that spending from visitors is good for Ridgecrest, and it's good for our community because it brings outside money into our community, and then that money stays in our community, and it makes our community better. So the main thing that the RACVB does is just work to bring visitors to our community to increase the money that's coming into our town.
Else,
Thank you so much, Kerry.
I think you missed one thing.
Okay, what else?
Well, I was just going to say, I think it's pretty impressive that you worked to get a welcome center here in Ridgecrest.
Should we talk about that?
Briefly.
So also, right next to Tokyo House is a California Welcome Center. And I'm not sure if you guys have been there. I think some of you have. One of your sisters used to work there. And the Welcome Center is just a really cool visitor center. It's a place where visitors can come and get information on all sorts of things in our area. It's a really beautiful space, and if you ever want to host a meeting or a party or whatever, we have space for free. But the thing that is really cool is that our Welcome Center is part of a network of 22 other Welcome Centers all throughout the state of California. So all of the Welcome Centers are placed in areas that are specifically catering to travelers. So there's one on like the pier in San Francisco. The one in Ridgecrest is here because we are the nearest city to Death Valley and also to some of the national parks that are north of us. So, lost my thought on that. Help me out.
No.
Team,
You
what
did
else?
great.
No, I
You did
think-
great.
Yeah, no, I think that's brilliant. Yeah, I wanted to impress upon you guys that the rarity, not every town has those welcome centers, and our local director worked very hard to get it there. And if you go there, if you haven't visited, you should. There's a VR set, and there's lots of really cool gifts there. So thank you, Carrie.
We also have a cool thing, because we have a lot of filming that goes on here, like movies and commercials and stuff. So we have one thing where you can see like some of the different movies and videos that were filmed here, so that's cool too. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry to put you on spot.
Okay, next, other committees, boards, or commissions. Do we have any other reports? Seeing none, city manager report?
I have nothing to add.
Any future agenda items? No future agenda items?
Well, did
Oh.
we already set it, item number 4 for the future agenda? Is that good enough?
That's
Okay.
already set.
Thank you.
And then we will go to mayor and council comments, and I will go ahead and begin with Mr. Gorman.
I was reminded while the mayor was chatting earlier about a cartoon in the Stars and Stripes during the Second World War. A cartoonist named Bill Malden created the original G.I. Joe and his friend Willie. Just two dirty dog-faced soldiers slogging their way through the Second World War in Europe. It was a European theater. And the one cartoon I'm thinking of is Joe and Willie were in a foxhole. I guess Willie was reading a copy of the Stars and Stripes newspaper, and what with all the big events going on all over the world, meetings in The Hague and the Vatican and Washington, D.C. and elsewhere, he mentioned a phrase that I'm sure people heard back in those days. He said, well, I guess this isn't really the most important foxhole in the world. There are more important places and more important things happening. And Joe said, the heck it isn't. I'm in this foxhole, which made it very important. While we were having our quality of life meeting yesterday, covering important stuff, important local stuff, the rest of the country was voting. Furiously voting. We're just now getting the results. While the essence of the American franchise was taking place just outside these walls, we were doing quality of life, and indeed, in many ways, so were they. So were the voters. And I wanted to say in this, thank you to everybody who voted. Make it a habit. That's all I had to say.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Hammond.
No comments.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
I just want to thank the Girl Scouts for being here to learn about
Scouting
city
America.
government. Really appreciate your Girl Scouts, right?
No, Scouting America. They are actually, interestingly, so Boy Scouts of America is changing its name to Scouting America beginning January. The name is official January 1, but it's already in action. And Scouting America now offers the chance to charter both boys-specific or girls-specific troops. And this is the first chartered girls' troop in the Ridgecrest area. And it's a chartered organization of Scouting America. And if you were to put into kind of, I could ask the girls to put it, but I'll put it into simpler terms. Imagine It embraces more of the outdoor skills and activities that Boy Scouts does when you think about camping, hiking, starting fires, shooting people, things. Oh wait, I meant shooting targets, things like that. Having fun with that, guys, just having a little fun. But the outdoor type of experiences that are different from Girl Scouts.
Got it, yeah. Thanks for being here.
We don't take offense, because half of them are Girl Scout as well.
Oh, okay.
No, Mr. Blades.
Veterans Day is fast approaching, and there's a lot of veterans in this community. So come the 11th, I don't know if Scouts are doing anything specific for that or recognizing the day, but it'll be recognized in this community. The VFW will be having a ceremony, I believe. Oh. Okay, yeah, that's it.
So my simple comments, again, I want to echo what Mr. Gorman said and thank the entire community for exercising what is one of the most critical elements of what is our American freedoms, which is our right to vote. You ladies are going to reach your age where you have that opportunity, and it is the most powerful tool, and it's our voice in how our nation is ran, and also how we echo the sentiments of what we want our nations and our communities to be. And I believe that it would be remiss not to mention that last night it appears that we reached a historical turning point in our nation in terms of how we want to see our nation moving forward. I thank every American citizen who got involved in that process to let their voice be heard, and so that we can begin that process moving forward, hopefully to a more stable, a more normal, and ultimately a more trusting, a more humble, a more God-fearing, and a more friendly society. We've let ourselves become so toxic between people over politics and over things that don't really reflect what the people are, the people that we're hurting in the process. There are people that have been friends for 20 years that now don't talk. There are people that are family members that don't talk. Let this day stand, hopefully, as a day where we all either chose in a direction to begin to move forward, once again recognizing that it was the American value of voting that drove the decision-making that we take forward from here. I know there are some that disagree with the direction, and there are some that agree with the direction. But however, we are all Americans, and the right to vote is one of our most precious rights, and I thank everyone for executing that right. With that said, I want to once again thank this community for what appears to be, I will not say in fact has been, the passage of Measure V or Measure AA, but I believe that it was a fantastic night for Ridgecrest. It's a fantastic night for the future of our youth, for our community. This will make sure that we can continue to move forward with a safe community, a community that's improving its infrastructure, and a community that's committed to our youth and bringing new schools to this community. I thank everyone who worked on those measures and worked for this community, and I thank all the citizens who supported it. With that, I wish you all a wonderful evening. It's 7:11 p.m. Time to go get a big gulp and have a great evening.